Today I'm going to show you a video that's been requested an awful lot, and that is how to do the battery mod on the MV-1C motherboard. So the first thing you got to do is get yourself one of these Nicad 3.6 volts 6 milliamp batteries. These are rechargeable, by the way. On the motherboard you'll see straight away that it's very strange. There are two positives and one negative. So what we got to do is bridge the two positives together, since the battery only has two terminals. So the first thing we do is solder the negative terminal of the battery to the negative terminal on the motherboard. And as you can see, it kinda looks a bit wobbly, but don't worry, we'll soon fix that with a bit more solder later on. Okay, so the next step is to bridge the two positive terminals together. Actually, that should have been my first step, but in hindsight you always think of something better, don't you? So you should get something that looks like that. Now what we have to do is connect the positive side of the battery to the positive terminal. Now we can't connect the battery directly to it because the terminals are too close together, so there's no way this battery is going to fit. But it's easy to overcome. We'll just solder a cable from the terminal to the side of the battery. The cable being used, by the way, is just standard arcade cable. This actually came from a Supergun joystick connection port. And there you can see a bit of a close-up view of the battery now in place. As you can see, the negative terminal is connected directly to the motherboard, and we've got cables connecting the two positive terminals together, and also one other cable connecting the positive terminal of the motherboard to the positive terminal on the battery. Yes, I know my soldering skills suck, but it works. Okay, so just one more time. Positive terminals connected, cable coming from that to the positive terminal on the battery, and the negative terminal of the battery connected directly to the negative terminal on the board. And as you can see, it's fairly stable. Now we've got it running the 161 in 1 Neo Geo cartridge here. So let's just see if the battery is working. So the first thing we should do is try and change the system settings. So we'll change the region here. Let's change it to, let's see, European, and we'll put it as an arcade. So we'll switch off the power to the machine and then switch it back on. Now normally without a battery it would revert back to the default setting, but as you can see it still says Europe and arcade. To prove that's not a fluke, let's change it to Japan and console. Again, we'll switch off the machine and we'll boot it back up and see what happens. As you can see, it's clearly kept the setting, Japan and console, so the battery seems to be working. And now that it is working, we can do something that I've wanted to do since the beginning. Change that bloody menu color, because I hate the green on black. It just looks so dark. So I'm going to change it to a nicer color. I think we'll go back to setting number 2. Okay. Now normally without the battery installed, that color setting will not save and it will just go straight back to the standard black on green. Okay, so we're switched off the Neo Geo. We'll switch it back on. Let's see if the menu colors have been retained. Yes, they have. Okay. Evidence that the battery is working perfectly. But what about high scores? Well, for some reason, the 161 in 1 multi-cartridge does not allow you to save your high scores. Maybe there's something to do with the circuitry. I'm not really too well up on the Neo Geo. But I'm running the official MVS cartridge of Ground Densetsu Special, or Fatal Fury Special here. And I've got myself a high score, so I'm going to put in my initials. Remember, keep an eye on the high score as well. It's 172,800. Okay. So we'll keep the game on just to make sure it is saving. Okay, now let's switch off the console. And we'll switch it back on and see if those high scores have been saved. By the way, the reason it takes so long to come back on is because this TV takes ages to find the signal of the Neo Geo. In fact, it takes ages to find the signal of anything. Okay, so the high score table will be coming up in a second. Apparently, by the way, this battery will keep your save states for many years, but it is recommended, because it is a rechargeable battery, that you boot up the Neo Geo at least once a month for 24 hours, just to make sure the battery gets some charge. If you're playing it regularly, you don't have to do that, because it's charging every time you switch it on. Okay, let's see if the high score has been saved. Come on, high score screen. And yes, there you have it. 172,800 and my initials MES are there. So, there you go. Evidence that the battery mod does work. If you feel that you're up to it, why not do this battery mod yourself? But keep in mind, if you do break your machine, I'm not responsible, so only tackle this if you're up to it.